Feedback's been excellent. Yes, we've been going around to a lot of different venues. You know, this whole campaign is really not about who wins and who loses, but how do we educate the community to what we're trying to do. And we've had excellent reception, and it's encouraging the support we're hearing and seeing.
I get a sense too that they're asking really good questions. So I think they're trying to educate themselves so they can pass this information along.
I think there are two major differences, and we hear this. Mm-hmm. One is that the old bond issue 7 years ago, in today's dollars, is slightly over $40 million. This is less than half of that. Mm-hmm. And so the dollars are significantly less. But I think probably the most important is that this one is very specific and very transparent. Our goal is for everyone to know how the money is being spent, and I don't think that's always been the case in the past.
Well, the new facility is going to be located at the north end of the grove. Very few trees will have to come down, I'm happy to say, and it's going to leave a big space between the back side of the building and Ross Collins that will be loaded with trees. Mm-hmm. So. And the street that currently now goes in front of the high school will no longer be a street, which will be a safety thing that we do for the students out there.
The single biggest negative that we've heard is just people just don't want taxes to go up. And when you really get down to it, you know, it's really disheartening, because when we look at this thing, if you know, we have a brochure that we use, and we went to different price points of homes and how they would be affected, your taxes and tags and all of that. And if you combine all of those and you looked at it, it's less than $2 a day that we're talking about for educating our children and for the vibrancy of our community. And so then you have lots of other, I wouldn't say lots, but you have other side issues that people like to bring up, which has no relevance to the bond issue. It's just they've got an opportunity to talk about it.
Right. He said $2 a day, but for somebody with a home valued at $100,000, it's really 16 cents a day. It's $58 per year. You know, so it's a minimal impact, though it is an impact. There's no question it affects taxes, and a lot of people have just a negative response, as I think we all do. Right. And what we've got to help educate them is, what's the cost of not doing it? What's the cost to this community of our schools not excelling? And that's our whole goal, is how do we try to make these schools excel. Today, Meridian is one of the few districts in this state where ninth graders don't start high school in the ninth grade. In Meridian, in the ninth grade, you're still in junior high. And so part of getting them to the high school campus is to give them better opportunities so that they can avail themselves of electives that are available at the high school that today aren't available when you're separated now between two junior highs and the main campus.
Why not build a new high school? And what about parking? You know, with that many students on campus, how are you going to handle that?
Typically, ninth graders don't drive.
That's what I was saying.
That's number one as far as a parking issue is concerned. And then we talk about building a high school. We had 4 or 5 years ago had done some research to see what it would cost to build a high school, just equivalent to what we're looking at right now. And 5 years ago, it was about $52 million. And we're scared to death about $20 million roughly. This community has not had a record of passing bond issues. And we had gotten a number that we felt would be tolerable as far as this community, and something that they would accept, give us the opportunity to do as much as we possibly could and move the district forward.
In our legal advertisement that runs in the paper on this bond issue, it mentions some of the things that the money would be for, but not limited to, but it specifically says athletic fields. So is there anything besides tennis courts that is going to be addressed with this money, as far as you know?
The track will, Steve.
The track, you mentioned that too. Mm-hmm. Are those the only two things?
Those are the only two right now. What we did, we prioritized our needs, and the list was that long. And there are other needs that are important, but what the bond issue is funding, those were critical needs. And I mean, the football coach would like a did I tell you he came and asked me for a field house? Mm-hmm. And but those more are are more in the category of wants. The tennis courts, someone's going to get hurt up there if we don't get those fixed because it's separating, and the same with the track. Well, we can no longer use the track for activities. So when we started talking high school redesign 18 to 24 months ago, we thought, what's out there that can help us redesign curriculum, improve student performance, that type of thing. And the more research, we have read stacks of research, just tremendous stacks. We kept coming back to small learning communities. That just really caught our interest. Not only did we read about them, but we set up some criteria for visiting sites with small learning communities. Then we looked at who was funding small learning communities, like Bill and Melinda Gates, the Carnegie Institution. So we studied those, and we looked at, what do we have in our community? What resources do we have that would support them? And what it is, you may have heard them call schools within schools. Mm-hmm. It's taking a large high school, which throughout the nation, large high schools are becoming obsolete. They just aren't meeting the needs of students. And it's clustering smaller groups of children around special themes. Mm-hmm. They stay with the same core of teachers. So let's just say a child would exit the 9th grade academy, all prepared to choose one of the small learning communities. They would go into it, and that group of teachers would, work with him, and when he graduated, he would feel like he was just part of a family. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what they are. There's so much potential for small learning communities to improve performance and how a child feels about himself, the level of parent support. Mm-hmm. It requires that teachers that participate in small learning communities go through rigorous professional development so that they can use a whole variety of teaching strategies to meet the needs of students.